Wrestling fans, promoters, wrestlers, and anyone who enjoys pro wrestling now have something new to be excited about. The Wrestling Fans International Association, the WFIA, is back. WFIA is an association that exists to promote, grow, and support professional wrestling throughout the world. Membership is free. Your membership includes a free digital bi-monthly publication of the Wrestling Fan News newsletter, association updates, voting privileges, and much more. Please go to thewfia.org, that's THEWFIA.org, and become a member today.
I'm Rick Del Santo. That's Harry Davila. This is
What's up,
Wrestle on WON Sports. Welcome, everybody. This week, we're going to be here to talk the world of professional wrestling, Forbidden Door, Monday Night Raw, so much more coming up. We got lots of really great wrestling talk. Harry, how the hell are you, man?
I'm doing very, very well. I'm very excited. It's going to be a crazy week, man. We got some stuff to talk about. Forbidden Door. We have a little Raw talk. Hype for this coming weekend shows. Hype for your show in August. We got a lot of things to talk about. So let's get going.
Yeah. So, is there anything else in your end coming up before we go?
Yes, actually, we have after July 1st, which is this coming Saturday. We have next show is July 16th, the Battle at Black Rock.
There you go.
We're going back home, baby. The first ever Park City Showdown's home. We're coming back for a nice little 6-match card, and the main event, Lucas Chase defends the Blood, Sweat, and Tears Championship against Wrecking Ball Legursky.
I am so there. You know, I'm a Lucas Chase mark, and I'm a Wrecking Ball mark, so that main event is going to be awesome. I'm telling you, I can't wait to see that match.
This card is going to be significantly different from the Star Spangled Bash card. We're going to also show some new talent to the BST crowd. The debuts of RJ Rude happens at the Battle at the Battle at Black Rock. Excuse me. Give me a second. I'm gonna go down the card with you. Sorry, I should have had my notes on standby.
That's all right. We're winging that part. So that's all right. That's all right.
We got the excuse me. Damn it. Yeah, the main event is going to be the tag title eliminator finals.
Okay.
So it could be either the Haven and or Wasted Youth versus the winner of Miracle Gen versus main event. Joseph Alexander returns to BSD ring. He takes on Sammy Diaz, and that is a main event anywhere. You got Chica versus Mother Endless. In somewhat a return match from the Triple Threat, they had to elevate. RJ Rude makes his debut. He's going to take on beautiful Brad Baylor.
Wow.
Montequilla is going to be in action. And, you know, like I said, the main event, Lucas Chase versus Wrecking Ball Legursky.
I'm looking forward to that, man. That's going to be a great show, I tell you.
It's different, a different cast of talent that you don't normally see at BST. This is gonna start some new stuff that we're gonna start doing with like enhancing some more local talent as well. So a lot of cool things down the pipeline. I know for certain for September 15th is slated as our next show after the 16th of July, and then Type 1 is November 11th. So that's my upcoming event. I know you have an upcoming event as well.
That's correct. That's correct. August 4th, Coliseum Pro Wrestling is returns. Clash at the Coliseum. So far, talent has been announced. No matches announced. However, this is going to be a really, really great show. If you guys are interested in sponsoring, hit up Coliseum Pro Wrestling 2023 at gmail.com. Go to Coliseum Pro Wrestling on Instagram. You'll find all the updated news. But right now, I'm going to go over the talent that has been announced so far. We've got the Haven. We've got the new tag team champions, Hustle and Muscle, are going to be back. We've had the debut of Malik Delvante. This one, he was trained under Casey Navarro. He's a very bright young kid, has a bright future ahead of him. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him make his debut here in Coliseum Pro Wrestling. Excuse me, I'm looking.
Let me pause you real quick.
Absolutely, absolutely.
As soon as you advertised him, I went, oh, okay, I'm excited. I've heard and seen little bits of him, and I'm intrigued to see what he brings to the table. I feel like he's gonna surprise a lot of people.
Absolutely. Of course, PaidnFull are going to be there. Fly Nine Noriega, Edric Cash will be by his side. New Age Wrestling Tag Team Champions First Class will be there. Sebastian Cage and Johnny Santos making both of them making their returns. Yep.
Another set of talent, both I believe out of the New York area.
Sebastian Cage, we haven't seen Sebastian Cage at Coliseum Pro Wrestling since the first event, since the first tournament. Yep, to crown the first champion.
He had 3 absolutely stellar matches that night. So I'm salivating at the chance to see him perform again. He's such a good fucking wrestler. Excuse my language. Sorry, damn it.
We're on TV, bro. Anyway, so
I know, man.
So I got to see him again. Was it last week? 2 weeks ago? I did a job up there in New Age Wrestling. I made my debut as commentary, and I have to tell you, working with New Age Wrestling that particular evening, I had a blast. I worked besides Matt DeCourt in the booth.
Great, the mouth of New England.
Absolutely, and considering that it was my debut, Matt helped me a lot, so I got to give him a lot of credit. He really helped me a lot in he helped me. I mean, I knew a lot of the wrestlers from guys that have worked down here in Connecticut. Some of them I was unaware of. He helped me a lot with, of course, the storylines and stuff like that I was unaware of because, like I said, it was my debut there, my first time there. I had a blast. First time in over a year, I got to call a match for both the House of Pain and Lucas Chase. So I was extremely excited to be there that night. I always enjoy working with Nick and Hakim and, of course, The Cure.
Who else is on your card that you have announced?
So far, that's it. Well, we have the Strong Will champion, Nutrius X. He'll be returning. Yep. And so that's so far the talent that we have announced. I'm sure we're gonna be announcing more this week as well as matchups.
He's been on fire for you guys.
Absolutely.
On fire.
The last year. He came back last year for Empire Pro Wrestling, made his return to professional wrestling after being gone for, I think, over a year. And I have to tell you, it was him in Montekia, I believe, for Empire Pro. And he was a whole different animal making his return, coming back into the world of professional wrestling.
I'm excited to see who he goes against. What matchup is he gonna draw for August 11th, I believe.
August 4th.
But yeah, Hustle and Muscle, the new tag team champions. They've been, on a hot streak as of late as well.
Absolutely.
Not only with you guys, but with Tattoo Pro as well. You got a stacked card, brother.
So far, it's going to be an amazing show. I'm looking forward to it. There's debuts, there's returns. It's just we got both new champions being there. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I forgot. CPW World Heavyweight Champion Hunter Tarka will be returning as well. He was not at the last show. Excuse me. I forgot. I'm surprised I didn't mention it. So I'm looking forward to seeing Hunter as well. I'm looking to see who he's going to be facing at that show.
Hunter,
one thing, go for it.
To put you guys over, Hunter and Fly Night Noriega from the last show I was at.
Yeah.
Absolutely tore down the house.
Yes. I went up to Fly Night right after, shook his hand, and I said, and every time, and it's not that, Hunter put on a great match too.
Oh, yeah.
Fly Night is a whole different beast, man. It's this guy, his charisma level There's just something about this kid that I'm a huge fan. Legit. I mean, I'm supposed to be an unbiased person here
No, hey,
as
listen,
media, but I'm telling you, this kid is on fire, and he keeps doing
you
what he's
got it.
doing. He's going somewhere
Got
someday with
listen.
that charisma.
There is nothing wrong with supporting certain people, especially people on your brand.
Mm-hmm.
It's I support a lot of the wrestlers on my on the brands as well, like Lucas Chase, Dustin Waller,
Right.
Ichiban, Kylon, Sammy Diaz. When he, it's okay. It's absolutely okay to put people over, and Fly Night Noriega is perfect for that. He's
Yeah.
an amazing wrestler, has an amazing brain for this business.
Absolutely. He's got a really good mind for the business, and he has not been it, and he's been in it for almost 2 years. So the fact that this kid knows how to hustle and work his ass off for the sport of professional wrestling.
Yeah, I am looking forward to see his trajectory. Coming off a loss to Tarka, I wasn't at the last show, so I'm not too sure what he did at the last one.
Well, I was going to advertise this, so good segue. Thanks, Harry. The whole show is up streaming on YouTube. Course of Honor 2023. Go to Coliseum Pro Wrestling, and you could see him and Sunset Steve Garcia.
That's
Literally.
right. That's right. Okay, so let me rewind. Now I remember. I apologize. I saw clips. I haven't seen the match. I saw clips. I spoke to a couple of people, including a couple of personal friends of ours, and they told me that those two young men literally beat the snot out of each other.
They did. I mean,
I
there
saw
was
one spot where, trying to really picture who went through the table, might have been
both men at some point did both.
I think it was a spear. Who hit the spear?
That was first off. It was I believe Sunset went through the table first, and then the second table, Fly and I went through via power bomb.
Oh, okay. So it was a power bomb because it was in the corner.
There was corner.
Yep.
There was pizza pans involved. There was blood. There was shovel. There was handcuffs. I'm telling you guys, if you guys want to go and watch a crazy professional wrestling match, I'm not even a guy into hardcore wrestling or nothing like that. This was an unsanctioned match because Coliseum Pro Wrestling did not want to be responsible for either men's safety.
Because those two have legitimate hatred for each other. Yes. They don't like each other. This isn't where professional wrestling meets and you got to tell a storyline. They don't blend. Oil and vinegar. And, their feud even goes back almost a year, maybe a year plus.
It's a year plus, definitely. Because I remember, I think it was last summer is when they wrestled each other for Paradise Alley at the Cadillac Ranch. They had a street fight that that was just insane. And they had already been
in the ring a couple of times.
Several months. Several months with each other.
Now it's. So, I heard this phrase a long time ago. It's called making the rounds, or the loop, where you have this feud between two wrestlers, and they take this rivalry and they go everywhere with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like Fly Nye and Sunset are on this trajectory where they're going to wrestle each other literally everywhere.
Right.
And they're going to bring that feud everywhere. Mm-hmm. And if you are in any city and those two are on a card against each other, I implore you, go get a ticket and go watch them because they're going to give you a show. Not at all.
I promise you will not be disappointed seeing those two. All. Yeah, you will be. You will walk away with your jaw dropped. I'm telling you right now.
A Fly Night alone, especially with how he's progressed, is he's almost on an island of his own.
Mm-hmm.
As far as on the mic, I don't think a lot of people can touch him.
No,
and only because everything Fly Night says isn't a promo; it's real.
It all comes across. Yes, it's just he's got this natural charisma, like I said, and It's real. Trust me. You
Yeah,
might
it's
think he's
absolutely real.
you might think he's working, but no, man. It's all legit. He's just himself amped up. Legit.
Yeah, pretty much. That's literally what that is. And I've had a chance to have conversations with Line and that dude loves this business.
Yeah.
So if you guys have a chance to get your hands on him and put him on one of your cards, do so. Do so.
Yeah.
I
He just went
promise
down
you.
to Georgia about a month ago, month and a
Yeah.
half ago. He made his
Yeah.
debut, Marietta, Georgia, which in itself, I know you're the Wrestlepedia, the quite the historian, just like myself. Marietta, Georgia, is a huge professional wrestling area, the historic
Yeah.
wrestling area. The Armstrongs come from the area. The NWA was there for years. WCW was there
Man.
for years, and it's a
Who
huge. So the fact that a guy from up our way went down there wrestling in one of the most historic wrestling cities, I marked out, dude. Once I heard that, I messaged him and said, "Man, congratulations."
I'm trying to think because all I can hear in my head is Gary Michael Capetta from Marietta, Georgia, and I can't picture.
I know that the Cobb County Civic Center was. Big Boss Man was from Marietta,
That's what it
or
is.
Cobb County, Georgia, whichever. But
But
the Cobb County Civic Center was the building of the old NWA in the later 80s, early 90s into the early WCW era.
mhm.
Did a lot of TV tapings out of, and there's still wrestling being held in that building today. I just watched something like, I don't know, a year or so ago that
That's
Teddy Long
awesome.
ran over there. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love historic buildings
Yeah.
and
Me too.
going to specific buildings to watch wrestling. I still get goosebumps at the thought of going to the ECW arena. It's one of those buildings where it just has so much significance to my wrestling love that like I've been there once and I'm glad I got to check it out. But anytime I hear, oh, I'm gonna be near there, I get excited
Yeah.
because it's like it's that arena. You know what I'm saying? There's a couple other ones too. Oh my god.
You know, you can have your Madison Square Garden. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but there's buildings like the ECW arena that do it for me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Exactly. Like those old the Rexplex in New
Yeah.
Jersey.
Yep.
That's another place that like has a lot of significance, especially with the early Ring of Honor stuff. The Hammerstein Ballroom,
Yeah.
the Manhattan Center.
There's what the hell was the other one here in Connecticut? There's another smaller place that has some nice wrestling history. I'm trying to remember what the hell I was about to say.
I remember the New Haven Coliseum used to be a big.
I grew up in the New Haven Coliseum. I grew up at yeah. I lived 10 minutes outside of New Haven as a kid in Woodbridge, Connecticut.
Yeah. Yep.
And anytime wrestling came from 87 all the way up, I think I went to my first show in 1988, New Haven Coliseum. Superstars of Wrestling TV taping.
Woo.
No, I had already been a fan for about a good 5 years at that time period, but I didn't go to my first show until 1988. I've told this here on the podcast like a million times. However, I'll say it again because it's always one of my favorite stories to tell.
Of course.
April 1988, WWF is coming to the New Haven Coliseum. My dad goes and gets tickets. We had the cheapest seats you could possibly can. We're up in the rafters because obviously it was a TV taping. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I bought them last minute. But I'm going to tell you something. I was already a fan, but the electricity inside the arena was something different, and it opened me up to an entire different world. I was literally obsessed with the professional wrestling after that. Anything I wanted to do, I was watching on Saturday mornings. I would try to find anything professional wrestling, and then I discovered, other forms of professional wrestling at that time period, other brands, other companies. So it was just an amazing thing. That first show always gets you for some reason.
So the number 5, which you stated already, you were about 5 years into loving wrestling at the time.
Yeah.
Is actually very significant to a similar story that I have about my first wrestling show. I was 5 years old. Madison Square Garden. And I remember one match like it was yesterday. And the fact that it's on the network, I could always go back and kind of like rewatch it and have those like memories and goosebumps again.
Right.
But it's Randy Savage and the Ultimate Warrior inside of a steel cage, January 21st, 1991.
Okay.
And it's in Madison Square Garden. Again, like you said, nosebleed seats, binoculars. It was my birthday. So that was my first live experience was the
Right.
Garden.
Right.
So like, and that's just to give you kind of like an idea of how I'm 37 now. I'm going to date myself here. I'm 37. That was 32 years ago.
Yeah.
I've been watching wrestling for close to 40 years.
Well, let me tell you this. All right. I'm going to date myself. I'm 10 years
Okay.
older than you, pal. All right.
Oh,
So I'm dating myself. I grew up in what I consider the greatest era of professional wrestling. That's just my opinion.
okay.
You know, because for even though I was watching a lot of professional wrestling before that first live event, I had
Mhm.
discovered things like NWA World Class, AWA,
Yeah.
Memphis. I actually got Memphis TV up here, and then I discovered independence, some independence, you know, by 80s standards.
Yep.
Obviously, you know, TV was not that prevalent, but once I got into the 80s or late 80s, the live show, I started buying more magazines to read fan club letter, you know, all that kind of stuff, like
Yes. The
advertisements for
magazines.
tapes. Yeah, advertisements for tapes and lists and stuff. So I just started buying all this crazy stuff and or like ordering all this stuff, and it was just such a magical freaking time. Like literally, I discovered
can
that's where I
imagine.
discovered the newsletters, the tape trading circuit in the 1990s, where I would just be ordering tapes, like or trading tapes with so many damn people over the years. It was just amazing, an amazing time.
My tape trading days were mid early 2000s. Like
Okay,
that era, like 2000, 2010. That was like when I
the
was
tail
really
end of
heavy on.
it, yeah.
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 Right before DVDs became like a super big thing, and you know everybody started doing this stuff on DVDs.
Yep.
I would tape trade with my brother Chris. We would order, see, because we were smart, right? If we both ordered the same shows, then we're gonna be like we both were always with each other every weekend, so we'd only be watching 3 shows. So whenever we had money, he would order 3, I would order 3. Then
Mm-hmm.
now instead of 3 shows, now we have 6 shows.
Right.
And whenever he was done with his 3 and I was done with my 3, we would trade, and then we'd watch the other person's 3.
Yeah. We
And
would
that's what we did.
buy mass collections. Like say we get, you know, 4 or 5 people to do one order. Each person would get either 1 or 2 tapes, and then
Yeah.
we would just somebody would be in charge of them. They get delivered to somebody's house, and then somebody would copy every single one for each person in the pool.
Oh, that's
Basically,
awesome.
so
I wish I had people like that.
yeah, trust me, dude, that was a pain in the ass back in the day. That was a pain in the ass. I got out of the, you know, I was in it for a little bit during the DVD era, probably like a year or two, because I was getting I was getting NWA Wild Side on DVD. Okay,
Ooh.
so if that means anything to you or anybody
You
listening.
just dated yourself.
And now I go back, it's all up on IWTV, the NWA Wild
Yeah.
Side. They bought,
So
about a year ago, they bought the rights for it and put it all up there. So I'm excited. Not everything is up there from NWA Wild Side, but it goes all the way back to the NCW Wild Side when Bill Barron's, before it was technically an NWA group, etc., etc. So it's really freaking cool that all that stuff is up there. I go back and watch that quite frequently.
the first Wild Side stuff that I remember seeing was AJ Daniels from, I believe it was like the 52nd anniversary of like NWA.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the anniversary shows, and I remember it was like the first time it was like Daniels and AJ went like 40 something minutes, and AJ at the time was like really like the Wild Side guy. He was like the main guy out of Wild Side, and that like propelled him to go into TNA. Was
Right.
that match with Christopher Daniels? That's my earliest memory of anything Wild Side.
Right.
Yeah.
He was, you know, I don't know if you remember this, but he was in WCW towards the tail end, the last few months, maybe year. He's in WCW working Saturday night and worldwide TV tapings.
Yeah.
And then they closed. Yeah.
I remember that. Like, I remember it was like 2001. And
Yeah, it was 2001. Yep.
Him and Air Paris were like,
yes, they were tag team in Wildside. Yeah. Yep.
And then they came in, and I thought like they came in. I think there was 1 week they came in with like the Air Force jumpsuits or whatever, and they were doing some cool stuff. And I was like, damn, these cruiserweights are kind of pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then they were done. Then they were gone.
Yeah. And then what? A year after WCW closed, 2002, AJ Styles pops up in TNA on the first show, and then they won the belt after a while. It was TNA knew what they had, and they put him up there.
Yeah,
you know? They built him. They made AJ Styles a star, and look where he is today after all that stuff.
Available on all streaming platforms. It's professional wrestling's greatest, largest, privately owned wrestling library. All the classic hits, flips, slams, and pins of yesteryear are on one place. It's Ultimate Classic Wrestling. Check out the Nature Boy Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Mr. USA Tony Atlas, Tito Santana, Rick Martel, a who's who of professional wrestling's greatest spotlight stars ever to grace the squared circle, all in one place. Grab the best seat in the house for memories and mayhem on Ultimate Classic Wrestling.
You bring up Wildside because that again ties in with all the knowledge I have with like the indies from those early days.
Right.
And going back to what you were saying about IWTV, I used to be a huge Combat Zone guy. We've discussed this.
Yeah.
And I was on IWTV last week. Oh, that's another thing we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Open a little bit.
Yep.
I was watching some old CZW Best of the Best tournaments. Man, outside of PWG, there was one tournament that I would get legit, and I'm talking about it now. I'm getting goosebumps, crazy. And it was like, there's the Battle of Los Angeles, which was the premier tournament in New England, starting from like 2005 on.
Mm-hmm.
But Best of the Best was like the tournament you wanted to be on in the early 2000s.
Right.
It was the ECWA Super 8, and it was the Best of the Best,
which still happens both at that tournament. But the ECWA, I mean, Jesus, man, that's been around forever. They've done that tournament for decades.
And the talent that have won that tournament, you're talking about Christopher Daniels, talking about Low Key.
Yeah.
Daniels has won the Super 8. I think Daniels won the Super 8 twice, if I'm not mistaken. But like the crap of talent that came out of ECW, the Super 8, but then you also talk about the talent that came out of the Best of the Best. Guys like Trent Acid, who, rest in peace, no longer with us, but that man, had he not had to battle his demons, that dude should have been on TV regularly. You got guys like the Maximos, Amazing Red, the Briscoes, AJ Styles, Jimmy Rave, Chris Hero, Claudio Castagnoli, Austin Aries, Roderick Strong, Sanjay Dutt. I can go literally on for hours with the crop of talent that have come out and wrestled for the Best of the Best. Adam Cole, Sammy Callahan, Swerve Strickland, AR Fox. These are your guys that you're watching on your TV now, who in 2002 to 2007, 8, 9 were killing it in this amazing premier tournament that the Northeast was having.
I'm going to tell you a story, okay? I think I might have told this here before. You remember when Wrestle Jam used to run shows?
Yeah, I love Wrestle Jam.
Same here. So one day I'm sitting there, and me and my son, I took my son, and then my ex-wife's friend's daughter wanted to come, so we went. We're sitting, and this was if you remember there was a hall in Hamden, Connecticut. I don't remember the name of it. It was it's down the road from Eli's, if you know where that is. Okay. On the same street.
I know where Eli,
Off of Whitney Avenue. It's off of Whitney Avenue, but it's one of the side streets. But
what was the main event of your show?
Well, it was a 6-man tag match. It was like Claudio and I think Quackenbush and somebody else, and then against Eddie Kingston and 2 other people. Okay,
that was probably in the earlier days. I remember I went.
This was definitely it was definitely one of the earlier days. And the funny thing about it is that I'm sorry to cut you off again, but my son was wearing a Boston Red Sox hat. Me and him are sitting front row. Eddie Kingston looks at my son and says, "Hey, kid, Boston sucks." And that whole freaking room went insane. They wanted to kill Eddie Kingston. And now, man, that guy's worked his ass off for 20 some odd years. Yeah. And look at him. He's on TV every week now.
Wrestle Jam. I think the first Wrestle Jam I went to was in Meriden. Yeah, it was Meriden. And I remember it. It was JT Dunn and Chris Sabin in the main. I remember that day. I was very big on Juicy Product. I think it was like 2014-ish.
Okay.
I've been to a few after that. I went to one in this like really weird, like it was like up a hill, and it was like in this like abandoned warehouse type thing.
Like an old church? Maybe. I remember going to one that was like an old ass church. And it was the most awkward, like, I was like, this is so weird. It's just an empty church. That's it. How we got the building, beyond me.
Was it like super dark outside?
I believe, if I remember correctly, it had rained quite a bit. So maybe.
Okay. So I remember it was Chris Hero and JT versus the Ants.
Okay. And I think Sarah Del Rey was probably on the show, I'm guessing, too.
I believe so. Yeah. I believe so. And they had a surprise main. It was supposed to be Hollow Wicked versus somebody else for the Wrestle Jam title, and the person couldn't make it due to injury, and Amazing Red subbed in.
Okay.
That was the first time I saw actually Gangone and Mark Quinn, because they had a House of Glory spotlight match on that show. And like Wrestle Jam would only do like once a year.
Yeah, at first they were doing more, and then they just boiled it down to once a year. I think that he realized he didn't want to do that. Yeah,
they'd have some crazy lineups.
A lot of those guys went on to like bigger and better things, or it was like the who's who of that era of independent wrestling. You know, I mean, look at Claudio. Look at Claudio on TV like every week now. I mean, for years, the last few years.
Gulak has wrestled for Wrestle Jam.
Yep.
Oni Lorcan has wrestled for Wrestle Jam.
Well, technically, Orange Cassidy did.
Yeah.
So being one of the ants, Fire Ant. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, we could say the same thing about Tracy Williams as well. He was silver. And like, but there's a lot of like Wrestle Jam had a lot of cool stuff, and they were very, I would say, relevant to the scene at the time,
right?
Especially with the talent that they were utilizing. Kimberly, was on Princess Kimberly, who was a former Chikara Grand Champion, on there. Like they had their 6-mans were awesome.
Yes,
their 6-mans were awesome, and they put me onto a lot of talent in this New England area that wasn't part of like the major companies. Guys like Dave Cole, who I became friends with. Yeah. Guys like AJ Cruz, Makazi, like all those guys I would never have, like I may have never even known of if it wasn't for like a Wrestle Jam.
Right.
So it was cool to be a part of some of those shows, especially like at the end. Like I got to see Holiday for the first time through Wrestle Jam, and that was like in like the legit infancy of his career.
Right. Still wore white boots, I think, right?
Yeah, with like baby blue trunks.
Right, exactly.
I remember. Like it was cool. What they were doing was really, really cool.
Yeah, it was something special around here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. They were probably some of the better shows that Connecticut had seen, and that was a very weird era for professional wrestling in general. The whole entire existence of that company was a very weird era for independent wrestling, because really there was only one main company. WWE was still pretty much the main. And I mean, as cool as TNA might have been, it really wasn't competition for WWE. It never really was.
Like only your hardcore fans like were really like tuning into like
Some
TNA and stuff like that.
Some people for years and years and years didn't even know that TNA existed. Legit.
People now don't think TNA like didn't know TNA still existed. Like it's crazy how under the radar they've gone for having the amount of talent that they've had.
I mean, right now I think Impact is doing some of the best stuff they've done in years.
Oh,
I don't know if you're keeping up on it at all. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you now, Alex Shelley being world champion is one of those things that hits closer to home for me because Alex Shelley is actually my favorite independent wrestler of all time. It used to be Punk. And then Punk's indie career was only really like 4 years.
Yeah.
If you really do look back, but Alex Shelley in the 20-something years that he's been a professional has a library of matches with literally everyone. And outside of like his early TNA days where he was only given like 5 minutes, like that guy has a library that is probably unmatched. And with different eras in the independent scene. Like he's been in the ring with Punk and, Roderick and guys like that, Samoa Joes and so on and so forth. And now he's in the ring with like a Kevin Blackwood, Daniel Garcia, Montequia at the House of Glory show, like Alan Angels, Alec Price. He's tearing it up with this crop of independent wrestlers. And it's cool to see, man. It's cool. And I'm still a fan. Like I can still watch his stuff and be absolutely mesmerized because the way he moves is just different. It's different.
Yep.
That man deserved the world title many years ago. And I'm actually like super happy to finally see that he can put world champion under his resume. Good for him.
Don't forget, was it July 15th, Slammiversary Impact? Alex Shelley's defending that title against Nick Aldis, former two-time NWA champion. And don't forget,
2-time, not 3-time.
I think it might be 3-time actually now because that's why I stuttered. Is it 3-time?
It might be 3-time. Let me look at the Google machine.
Yeah, let me look at the Google machine. Either way, everybody knows that Nick Aldis is one of my favorite wrestlers of the modern era. And let's see here. And so that is a match that I am looking forward to that I really, 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 really want to see because I think there's just going to be something different about it. He is he's old school. 2-time, right?
2-time NWA, one-time global.
Yeah, he ran the Global Force Championship. Yep.
And then he's also been TNA heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
So he's been a world champion. He's been GHD World Tag Team Champion. This guy, Nick Aldis, his resume speaks for himself. Nick Aldis is the man that brought NWA back from the dead. And I will say that with all the confidence in the world, if it wasn't for somebody like a Nick Aldis, NWA wouldn't be back to where it's at right now. And I'm going to be also honest with this statement. Them losing Nick Aldis was a huge mistake.
I'm going to 100% agree with you. That might be a different topic for a different time because I could literally spend 2 hours talking about the disappointment I am, not because of Nick, because I think that Nick made the right decision.
Absolutely.
Leaving the National Wrestling Alliance. It was up to, he's a grown man. He can do what he wants. Does the NWA suffer without him? 100%. I'm not going to say that it doesn't because to me, he was the guy that his class, his suave, I guess you could say. Yeah, he is just, there's something about the way that he presented himself as a world champion And the fact that he did not like the way the direction that the NWA is going, however you want to put it, he made the right decision. And I'm going to tell you, but like I said, I could spend a whole 2 hours talking about it. I don't want to talk about that the whole time, but I am a huge NWA fan. I've been a huge NWA fan since I discovered it in the 1980s through its different incarnations, post Crockett, post WCW, post Dennis Corluzzo, separating from ECW, the many different incarnations after, as it was suffering for decades.
Yeah.
I always sat there. The Bruce Tharpe era, the Lightning One era, I have always sat there and supported the National Wrestling Alliance and said that this is the greatest wrestling, whether it was just, they were struggling, whether they were considered an independent company, what have you. And man, I got to tell you, since Nick has left, and I get why he left, because the direction was going terribly. Have they improved since? Somewhat, but not necessarily. It's not the era it was since like the debut of Power or the 70th anniversary show or any of that stuff. Ever since,
anniversary show was fun.
It was awesome. They had Jim Cornette. They had Tony Schiavone, I think, was on the show too. Midnight Express did a reunion after the show. They didn't wrestle, but they appeared there.
Yeah.
And I think that the one thing I really like about the NWA is Joe Galli is a great commentator when he's not yelling. They built him up. They built him up to when he
the young man.
Yeah, the young guy. Yeah, they built him up to believe that he's got to yell all the time now, which is just too AEW, WWE, modern wrestling. The way he called the action prior to that, like, he just sounded fantastic, and I think that he still does a really good job. But
for a young man, because Joe Galli, at least from a visual, can't look more than 25 years old.
I think he's a news reporter or something like that. I think that's what he does as a show.
I wanna see how old he is now. Now that you brought him up, because the way he carried himself in the beginning with NWA Power and stuff like that, he sounded like he'd been there for years.
Well, he worked for the United Wrestling Network. He did championship wrestling for Arizona for quite some time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Yeah, you taught me something new today.
Jeez, I thought you were I thought you were the Wrestlepedia.
Hey, I like to learn things too. I can't know everything.
Okay. Well, you know who? We've gotten on the topic of the NWA. I really like Tim Storm on commentary as well. I think he does
great.
He is.
His redemption story was a lot of fun. To him getting to the NWA title, and there was the story during the Power, where he was like contemplating retirement and stuff like that. All that was like, it made me a Tim Storm fan.
Right. Oh yeah. You watch back. It's pretty fucking amazing. Pardon my language. Sorry.
Yeah. No. It was those NWA Power tapings.
Yeah.
I would stop what I was doing just to watch it. Like, me and my brother Chris would talk about it every week. We'd watch it, text each other right after. What'd you enjoy? What you didn't enjoy? Like the Sal Rinauro, Aaron Stevens feud, the question mark. Oh my God, is that the right question mark?
That was Josephus. Yep, the question mark. Yes.
That stuff, like the Ricky Starks uprising from virtual unknown to not normal people to a megastar. Same with Zicky Dice. Zicky Dice and his outlandish style. LA Knight.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to correct you on that. That's Mr. Eli Drake. I'm sorry.
I know. But that just goes to show you, like, the type of talent that they've had. On
that's not only to mention. You're not mentioning Thunder Rosa, who went on to become one of the biggest women wrestlers in the world.
You kind of clipped me at the knee with his name is, what I'm saying? They never let me finish, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Thunder Rosa, her rise even to AEW started with NWA, and when NWA had to kind of pause stuff because of the pandemic.
Right.
Thunder Rosa, ended up like, hey, I need to make money somehow. Ended up in AEW roster, became the AEW Women's Champion.
Yeah.
So, like, at the NWA, when they were doing the power stuff, they were ramping up a lot. They were doing a lot of cool stuff. And, oh my God, Royce Isaacs.
Yeah, him and Thomas Latimer, great tag team, the Wild Card.
Yeah,
great tag team. Now he's been out and about wrestling elsewhere. Royce Isaacs, I know he made a Bloodsport appearance last year, and
he just showed up at on AEW last week to help.
Oh, did he really?
To help Tom Lawler beat up Adam Cole.
Okay,
he's bald now and but he looks amazing. He looks incredible. He actually had a match. There was a New Japan Strong taping with the Machine Guns, and that was fun, a lot of fun. Yeah. He's a extremely good wrestler who I feel should be out there more.
Yeah,
he should be a little bit of everywhere. Everybody should be wanting to get a chance to get a piece of Royce Isaacs.
Absolutely, 100%.
I'm trying to think of who else really stood out for me during the initial power run.
You know who I think had a really good run? Sorry, Harry. But you got to look at some of the legends that took part in there as well. Look at Melina. I thought that she had an outstanding run. Also look at Colt Cabana was pretty vital to that first set of the first was it the first two seasons, I believe.
Yeah, he was
he was the national champion. So I mean,
and Ken Anderson.
Ken Anderson was very vital to that. Yeah.
The Pope, I believe.
Yeah, he was there up until recently, I think only last year. The Dawsons were there, the tag team from the Carolinas. Let's see. But it's not that the NWA is not doing anything good, because they do have a lot of really good stuff going on. There's just something about it that's just not catching the eye like it did prior.
So a lot of their champions, for the most part, are solid, legitimate wrestlers. They're tag team champions, La Rebellion with Mecha Wolf and Bestia 666.
Yeah.
They're women's champion with Camille. National champion, I believe, now is EC3.
Yes.
But there's one title that I'm kind of like, you have all this talent, and that's your champion? And listen, I have a bias. I don't care who hates me for what I'm about to say next. Tyrus is not a world champion, and I won't ever look at him as a world champion. And I'm sorry, and he, this probably won't even get to his ears, and if it did, I didn't care. I don't think Tyrus is worthy of holding the world title. He hasn't done anything to earn the chance to even wrestle for that title. I'm sorry. He had a mediocre run in WWE. He did nothing outside of that. And then he went to NWA and was a lackey for many years.
You know why he's got that title? It's because he's on the news, Fox News, on some talk show, and they want that attention. They're hoping that NWA turns into NWA viewers, which my personal opinion, I mean, do Fox viewers watch professional wrestling at all?
Okay, so I'll say this like this. When Donald Trump was on TV for Vince McMahon, did anybody give a crap? Did that turn into more viewers? No. You got the same amount of viewers and a really crappy storyline. So, what are you thinking? You know what I'm saying? I put the strap on EC3. Put that strap on EC3.
My pick for the title at some point down the road is Thrillbilly Silas Mason. I think the guy's phenomenal. He's come a long way since he's come in there. Him and Pollo Del Mar as a team. I know I believe that they're separated. I didn't watch, but I'm just going by what I saw at Crockett Cup.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch last week or this week's yet. I didn't watch. Maybe it was this week's I didn't watch. I did watch last week. So I think that Silas Mason has got it all and has the potential to be a world champion in the National Wrestling Alliance.
I was watching AEW on YouTube. They had put one of their recent shows on YouTube for free. So if you get a chance, check it out. It's I believe the show with Ray Phoenix on it. It was the last one they did. I think want to say it's April. It may have been when it came out. And Thrill Billy was in a 6-week scramble.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen Thrill Billy through like the NWA clips, and he seemed like a very 80s style, with the gimmick and all that stuff. And then I got to see him for AEW, which obviously he's outside of that like gimmicky structure where you have to have a personality and stuff. And you got to just see him wrestle. And man, I sat there, and I was just like, this guy's pretty damn good. And he moves. He moves like somebody like a Mike Awesome.
You're right.
And you know what? I'm glad I'm talking to you, because as I'm talking about it, kind of talk myself like who I can compare him to. Mike Awesome would be like the perfect comparison for him.
Yeah.
I do
he's
like
big,
him.
He's tall, he could move. He's got the mullet.
Literally, it's almost like the reincarnation of Mike Awesome with a cool name.
Right.
I'm gonna be honest, Thrill Billy kind of made me chuckle. I like it. I like it a lot.
When I first saw him, I was not convinced. You know what I mean?
Really?
Like, this guy's corny, but it was like, it's like over time, I was just like, dude, this guy literally is probably the best wrestler that the NWA has currently. Just my opinion.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
Excuse me, if he became the world champion.
Well, they're building him up with the feud with EC3 now that he's going to end up. And I believe that he's going to. A lot of people think, I think he's going to end up taking that title personally at some point. But
wouldn't be shocked.
No, I would not be. I think he's going to take that title, and I think it's going to be his road to the world title.
I hope they do. What is the TV title still like a thing?
That's Tom Latimer. Tom Latimer is the television champion. Yep.
I would almost, if I'm Billy Corgan, if I were Billy Corgan for a day, I would throw Billy in a feud with Latimer.
Yeah.
Have him beat Latimer and bring back you go through your 7 defenses. If at the 7th defense no one has pinned you, you can cash in your television championship and you can earn a shot at the world title.
Right.
And that's how you put that man, you build him, number one, and then 2, you advance him into a world title picture storyline where it'll put eyes on the guy you just built up for a year.
Right.
It's a perfect setup for him.
Yeah.
Do I think him winning the national title eventually will do him a service? Absolutely. Because you're in the ring with a former TNA World Heavyweight Champion in EC3.
Yep.
EC3 is no slouch. EC3's credentials speak for themselves. Even though they were Impact is always going to have some importance in this professional wrestling industry. So putting him over a guy like an EC3 would be big for somebody like a Thrill Billy. And I look forward to see his progression. He's going to be by next year, he's going to be, if not on NWA as a champion, he will be elsewhere growing.
Yeah. I could picture him going to somewhere like Impact and flourishing, like having a great career, a longer career, maybe making his way over to NXT and helping, build that brand as like a very important part of that brand.
You think if you give Sean somebody like Thrill Billy that he's not going to take that manage through the roof?
Yeah,
come
absolutely.
On, man.
Absolutely.
He and imagine if they turn him into a monster.
Yeah.
The things that they'll do with him. So we'll see where his progression goes. But I see big things for Thrill Billy.
Absolutely.
Coming June 18th to Ultimate Classic Wrestling, it's the Wormez Chicago Library, featuring Bob Loose Monsters of the Mat, Hall of Fame Classics, the Chicago Challenge, and more. Relive all the hits, flips, slams, and pins. June 18th, exclusively on Ultimate Classic Wrestling.
Join us if you dare.
If you want to see more classic wrestling from the Savoldi Wrestling Library, head on over to the Ultimate Classic Wrestling Network, available now on all major streaming platforms.
Speaking of AEW, they had to relocate a show recently. Actually, they had to cancel a show, and I was actually really excited because I believe the show that they were setting up to have had Channing Thomas on it.
Oh wow!
And I was very excited because you see Channing Thomas in the Northeast. Channing Thomas is one of the major players out here in the Northeast. To see him get a shot in the Midwest was very, very cool to see. I'm hoping he gets another call to go back there because I think AEW and Channing Thomas could do some really good money. Because AEW, Channing Thomas to AEW is different. Because AEW is not known to having guys like a Channing Thomas.
Correct. Yep.
Just to his style, Not to say that they never had great wrestlers. They've had amazing wrestlers wrestle through there, but Channing Thomas is different. Channing Thomas is as old school can get with a new school flair, and I hope he gets to go back out to the Midwest and show them what we here in the Northeast know.
Yeah, I would love to see that. That's a guy, watching him. He works for. He'll do shows at Northeast. He'll do shows for Wrestling Open Beyond, stuff like that. And the guy has got it. The it. He's got the it. Yeah. You know what I mean? He is probably like you said, one of the best professional wrestlers in the Northeast today. He's amazing. Yeah,
absolutely. Channing Thomas is I think next year is gonna be a huge year for Channing. And I wouldn't be shocked if I see him on TV. I wouldn't.
That's the ultimate goal. That's what we want to see our friends to do, take care of. You know what I mean? I want to see people we know that guys from around this parts. I want to see them on my television every week. Christian Casanova is on my television every week now.
Every week. We got a couple people that we know wrestling on TV 2 weeks for MLW.
Ichiban's going to be making his appearance. Love Doug is going to be making his appearance. Congratulations, Ichiban, making the top 10 in Pro Wrestling Illustrated independent listings. So I think that is amazing right there. Ichiban, of course. I'm biased towards Ichiban. He is the greatest wrestler. I know I keep saying that there's a lot of great wrestlers in Connecticut. I'm a huge fan of this guy. He's one of the best, blah, blah, blah. Ichiban is the best wrestler in Connecticut. I'm sorry.
Ichiban is the best wrestler in the Northeast.
Yeah.
In the Northeast. I will 100% back that statement. Ichiban has proven time and time again that he is the best kept secret that Connecticut and the Northeast have had. And if you look at the run of matches it's having as of late, going out against the House of Glory, Wrestling Open champion, he just beat Anthony Green for the Skywalker Championship. Ichiban is the guy right now. And if MLW is smart, put a contract on that man immediately. Absolutely. They're gonna learn that. They're gonna learn that on the 8th in Philly. They're gonna learn Ichiban #1.
Absolutely, 100%. I am looking forward to that. I cannot believe that he's going to be there, and I am excited for him. So I think that this is going to be something amazing, and I can't wait to see it myself.
There's a lot of cool stuff happening, man. Like you said, August 4th, CPW with you guys. July 1st and 16th, it's BST with me. We got pay-per-views left and right. Forbidden Door just happened, and it wasn't a bad show, man. Sorry if I got a little loud there, but it was.
Whoa, let's talk some Forbidden Door, okay?
It was pretty darn good. I would say an easy 7 to 7.5 out of 10. There's some things.
Okay.
There's some things where I'm kind of like, huh? And there's some things that I was like, oh. And
I know there's a particular moment that you probably popped for, and I'll get that when we get there. I don't want to bring it up now, but I'm going to tell you, like you said, this was 7 point what? You said
about a 7.5 out of 10. It wasn't the perfect pay-per-view, but
no. I am going to go a little lower. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm going to give it about a 5. Okay.
Oh, I was down the middle.
Yeah, I was not. There was just something about this show I was not fully invested in watching it. I mean, I watched the entire thing. Well, I didn't watch the pre-show, but I watched the entire pay-per-view part of it.
Okay.
Oh man, I was not very impressed throughout a lot. There are some great moments in that show that bumped it up to that 5. Okay. That there was a lot that I did not necessarily care for. There was just something about it. I don't know exactly what it was. Maybe last year's was just this insanely great event. Maybe that this year I was going in expecting another great event. Well, there was 2 really fucking good matches. I'm going to tell you that much. A third really good match. And the rest, I was just kind of sat there, kind of dumbfounded. I don't know if it was just my attitude. Like I'm a huge New Japan fan as well. Yeah.
No, I don't necessarily disagree with what you're saying. I feel like the things that took me out weren't necessarily certain matches, but certain spots in matches. Like, I don't know if you want to go down the card and kind of like.
Yeah, I'm going to go down the card. Yep.
Okay.
So I have the match list, the results in front of me.
Go ahead. Let's start with the opener.
Well, I have even the pre-show in a dark match listed. So, dark match.
Let's talk about the dark match because that actually has some relevance to some stuff. Tom Lawler wrestled against Serpentico in the dark match, I guess what you would call that before the buy-in. And I'm really bummed, and you actually said this earlier off the air, that they didn't air it. Like you hyped this up on Dynamite to have Tom Lawler versus Adam Cole, and I get it, circumstances. Adam Cole was feeling ill; they didn't want to chance stuff, so obviously didn't have the match going forward. Now, card subject to change is one of the most, I guess, relevant taglines to wrestling because it's literally on almost every show there's something that changes. It's how you progress sometimes storylines. In case of an injury, there's always a little asterisk card subject to change.
Right.
If you couldn't give us Tom Lawler versus Adam Cole, hell, just put him on the TV and have him squash Serpentico. That's essentially what he did anyway. For those in attendance,
4 minutes, according to this that I have.
Yeah, it wouldn't have harmed Serpentico because Serpentico's been getting his rear end kicked since he started in AEW. I think he has like 11 wins total since the inception. But like it would have you could have still given the fans Tom Lawler, and you still could have had something with him. I don't know. It just I didn't like that they were just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna put him on a dark match and screw that. No fans who may have paid to see Tom Lawler on TV, now they don't get that chance. And I think that was a bad move on their part. That's one of the
Absolutely.
reasons why I dropped it down from from a 10 down to where it's at now in my rating. It's because you do stuff like that. Why would you take Tom Lawler away from the fan? Tom Lawler's great.
We had Mogul Embassy with Swerve Toa Leona. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Brian Cage and Bishop Khan.
Yep.
With Prince Nana, they defeated Chaos, Rocky Romero, Chuck Taylor, Trent Beretta, and El Desperado in 12 minutes, 30 seconds.
This screams New Japan.
Yeah.
This screams New Japan B show. This is what they do in the middle of tournaments, like the G1 and stuff like that. Bunch of multi-man matches with wrestlers who have some significance against each other or are going to face each other down the line of the tournament. This show has a lot of that. That's really all I got for that.
Okay.
Like, to me, those types of matches, like those big 6-man, 10-man. There's one that may have been like, oh, this was actually really, really cool. But all the rest just feel like we just threw a bunch of guys together in the ring who had some type of heat with each other and they're just gonna wrestle for a bit. Not anything of significance.
Part of the Women's Owen Hart Cup tournament. First round match. Athena defeated Billy Starks in almost 8 minutes.
The right woman won. And that's nothing against Billy Starks. I think we say this about a lot of independents. Billy Starks is next. She is an amazing young competitor, just graduated college. But Athena is on fire. She is literally, you touch her, you're getting burned. She's on fire. She is undefeated since winning the women's ROH title, and I believe she's on some crazy win streak right now. So I see Athena going extremely far in this tournament. I see her actually reaching the finals.
Okay. I believe that's definitely very possible. We also had El Fantasmo defeating Stu Grayson by pinfall.
That match was short. It was 7 minutes, 7, 8 minutes?
Yep,
maybe?
7 minutes, 15 seconds.
I saw this match on paper, and I told myself, oh, that could be the sleeper of the night. Stu Grayson is an incredible high flyer, and so is El Fantasmo. Give them a couple minutes, and they could do some crazy stuff. And they didn't give them a lot of time, and the match was okay. Nothing crazy.
We had pardon my pronunciation. I'm not the best at pronouncing this. Los Ingobernables. You know what I'm trying to say.
Los Ingobernables de Japón.
There you go. They defeated United Empire of Jeff Cobb, Kyle Fletcher, and TJP.
More New Japan stuff. Like I said earlier, with the other multi-man tag, this is kind of we got guys that we want to put on this show. Let's throw them in a 6-man and let's have them have a lot of fun. Shingo was the man in that match, and I believe he picked up the pinfall with the last dragon.
So we'll move over to the main card.
Yes.
First
The
match.
opener.
The first match, AEW World Heavyweight Championship. MJF, the champion, defeated Tanahashi. 15 minutes, 30 seconds. Were you surprised that this match was on first or so early?
No.
Okay.
Nope. I believe they did that because this match has, even though they tried to hype it up like it has significance and relevance, it didn't. This match was literally just a throwaway, something to put MJF over. Honestly, I actually had a couple gentlemen in the house with me watching the show, and we all kind of collectively agreed that Tanahashi didn't look good on Rampage and on this pay-per-view. He looked like he was not at his best, and you can tell. Very disappointing, honestly, knowing the caliber of wrestler that Tanahashi is.
He's a legend, man.
Yeah. Absolutely. He's the one that brought New Japan back to prominence. And, MJF is MJF. But if you call yourself the ace, you're not having the greatest kind of like weekend, especially with like your matches not being at the caliber that we know Tanahashi can wrestle, and you go down to a plain as day dynamite ring shot. I'm sorry, that doesn't do anything for me.
We had the four-way match for the AEW International Championship. Orange Cassidy, the champion, defeated Zack Sabre Jr., Shibata, and Daniel Garcia. This was one of the few matches that I thought was really good. However, somewhat chaotic. I'm not necessarily a fan of multi-way matches.
And that's going to be the theme of the show. There's a lot of multi-man stuff. This is two gigantic brands trying to throw their whole roster at your face. Now, this four-way, to me, was done correctly. I'm not a fan of the outcome, and I think he should have dropped the title at the last show, at the last pay-per-view. But, man, those four can go. Zack Sabre Jr. alone was the star of that match.
Yes, you're 100% correct. Yes. From there, we had the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Sonata defeating Jungle Boy Jack Perry, which I thought was a pretty decent matchup. At the end of the match, walking up the ramp, Jungle Boy turns on Hook, lays him out with a clothesline, and just picks up the FTW title before putting it down and walking away.
It's one of those worst kept secret type of things where we knew Jungle Boy was on the verge of turning the page on his career. Sonata. That guy is the new era of New Japan. I'm a big Sonata guy. I love Sonata, especially because he is the protege of my favorite Japanese wrestler, the Great Muta. And you can see in the way he wrestles those little glimpses of Great Muta in him. And I love it. I believe him changing his look to what he's wearing now, I believe that made him, if anything, more credible than he already was as a champion. I believe now he is the full package. And I believe he's going to be the guy that takes New Japan into the next era. That Sonata's going to be your guy.
My opinion on Jungle Boy's heel turn, they just spent a whole year making him the sympathetic babyface.
Mm-hmm.
And now they just turned him heel out of nowhere.
So, the Jungle Boy turn, I felt like it was starting right before the feud with the Pillars.
Okay.
Little by little, the crowd reactions for him were dwindling. You hear that, whoa, 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 and everybody used to go nuts. Now he comes out and he's getting booed, and this was even right before he turned. So it was almost like, and you could tell by little mannerisms that he was kind of like on the verge. And I like what they did. I like that he was turning heel. I believe he needed that freshening of the character. We all saw it coming, though. At least I saw it coming, and a few others that were with me. I did like the fact that he kind of just like stood at the top of the ramp after the clothesline, looked at the two sides and takes his time and just goes and walks the other side to the heel locker room. I thought that was a nice, cool little touch, and I love that. I love that AEW is blatant in your face about heel faces and turns, because that is almost like, all right, now you know for sure he's a heel.
From there, we had the Elite, Hangman Adam Page, Matt Jackson, and Nick Jackson, along with Eddie Kingston and Tomohiro Ishii, defeating the Blackpool Combat Club, along with Takeshita and Shota Umino. This was a 10-man tag match, and I was
Yep.
this was one of the matches that I just could not get into. I'm sorry.
Really?
Yeah, it was not.
Okay.
This is not for. This is just they're trying to fit more people on the show type of a thing. And
Yeah.
I mean, I
So
love
kinda
all
like-
the men. I love all the men involved for the most part. I've kind of waned away from Moxley as of late. Well, no, I don't. I'm sorry. I'm not a Bucks fan either. But
Yeah.
this was just one of those things. Like to me, it's just not a fan of this match. I could not get into this one bit.
So this one is. I don't have any gripe with this match aside from like one spot.
Okay.
This match was a tale of two matches in one. It was a tale of Moxley versus Eddie and the 10-man tag. Now, this, like, if you really just watched it for Eddie and Moxley, I think you may have enjoyed it more because the story that they're telling and the story that everybody else is telling are two different stories. His hatred for Claudio is a different story than his love for Mox.
Right.
So, in the midst of this match, Mox and King beat the crap out of each other. I think they went like a good 7-8 minutes just chopping each other.
Yeah.
Just nonstop. You know, the Bucks did what the Bucks do. They hit their spots, they do their moves, they pop the crowd, end the story. Bucks do what Bucks do. Hangman did his stuff. You know, Claudio is just a specimen. Yuta is just an amazing. That guy's had an incredible 2022 to 2023.
100%. I think that his match with John Moxley was on a Rampage, made Wheeler Yuta's career, I believe.
Bingo.
I am
100%.
When I watched that match, I literally said he's set. Like he is. Like this match, like now, Wheeler Yuta is a fucking star. Pardon my language.
Yeah,
I
no.
literally said that. I said Moxley just made him a star, and I was amazed. I'm a huge Wheeler Yuta fan. I have been for a few years now. Him making his appearances in Wrestling Open, Beyond Wrestling over the years, other independents throughout the country, really.
Yeah.
And to see him in AEW, that match with Moxley,
Flourishing.
Yeah, it was amazing, and the fact that it was just so awesome, and I'm glad to see him on my TV each and every week.
Then there's a spot, and it does, like, to this day I still kind of like I'm still cringing from it because it was that bad. And there's a spot where Mox is down on his knees, and the Bucks are in front of him, and they're getting ready to deliver the double super kick. And Kingston dives to save Mox and takes the super kick, essentially, because they missed. But if I'm watching the match, and again, I have a couple people here, we're all just like, why do you do that? Like, we all were just confused because prior to him diving in front of Mox, you just beat the crap out of this dude.
Yep.
For like 10 minutes.
Yep.
Like, you literally were chopping and smacking the crap out of this dude. And now you save him from a super kick. And then at the end, they're all like, after the win, they're all like in this little corner talking to each other. And like, nothing makes sense.
Right.
Like, there's no explanation as to why. And all you hear is Excalibur. He's conflicted. No, he's not conflicted. It's dumb. It's dumb. It made no sense, and I thought it took away completely from the match.
AEW Women's Championship, Toni Storm defeated challenger Willow Nightingale, who was the NWA, New Japan Strong Women's Champion. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I messed that up.
So,
I love me some Willow, but since she's become New Japan Strong Women's Champion, she has a different aura about her. I'm not sure if you've noticed.
She's what's the word I want to use?
She doesn't come out smiling as much. She comes out, but I mean, she does, but not. It's like there's something different, and I just can't quite put my finger on it.
I think it's not. It's a mixture of like added confidence
Perhaps, yeah.
And
I'm a huge Willow fan, by the way. I mean, she's just awesome. Yeah, she's great.
I think it's a mixture of added confidence and intensity.
Mhm.
That's the best. I think that's the best way I could describe that. Toni Storm. She's just an amazing women's wrestler. I'm going to be honest with this. I didn't really get a chance to sit down and watch it. As it was happening, I had to check on the baby and I had to use the facility, so I didn't really get a chance to watch this match. But from what I heard from the boys in the room, it was okay.
So this match here, probably the greatest match of the evening, my personal opinion.
Yeah.
There is some faults with it, and I'm going to get into that.
Oh, I think we have the same faults. I'm pretty sure.
Well, let's break this down because this is the one match that I really paid attention to the most when I want to break down. Will Ospreay, of course, is your new IWGP United States Heavyweight Champion by defeating Kenny Omega. I fucking love Don Callis. I'm sorry. He is a freaking genius when it comes to professional wrestling. His comedic value, his timing. Just his timing, his delivery. One of the things I don't like is that he got booted out of the arena, and then next thing you know, he's back, and the referee does not say anything the second time around.
What was the point of kicking a man out of the building if he's going to come back, look you dead in the face, and you do nothing about it?
Right.
That's one of the little things that took me out of this match. I think this match was great. You put Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay in a match, and it's really hard for them to have a bad match. Let's call a spade here. These are two of the best wrestlers in the world.
Absolutely, 100%. One of the things that I was really concerned for Kenny Omega by going through with the Tiger Driver. That scared the ever-loving crap out of me because I said, his neck is broken. I literally said that. The other thing that bothered me, I'm sorry, Harry. One thing that bothered me about it is, though, he kicked out at one after being driven head first and neck into the freaking ring.
That's not even the biggest issue there. So again, 7 guys here have the TV's on. We're all here seeing the same thing. My son is also in the living room. He's sitting next to me, and we all went, "Oh man!" when that Tiger drop hit. But that wasn't even the main thing. The guy got spiked in the face with a screwdriver.
Yeah.
Got hit with a one-winged angel and kicked out at 1.
Yep.
I can understand taking a bunch of moves and kicking out at 1, maybe. Adrenaline. Whatever. You're getting stabbed in the face with a screwdriver. I'm going to say it again. You're getting stabbed in the face with a screwdriver and you kicked out at 1? That was it for me. That was like, I no longer care. And it sucks because that match was amazing. It was absolutely amazing up until that point. I no longer cared who won after the stabbing in the face.
One of the other things that bothered me, there was 9,000 freaking near falls.
They went too long. I think they went a little too long.
It was 39 minutes, 45 seconds in ring action.
9 minutes too long, because those last 9 minutes was the stab, the Tiger Driver, and the kickouts of dumb stuff. I just think that there was too many near falls, too many kickouts, and it's just like that is not like. It should have. There's just something about it where you're losing the art there at some point, and not to say that they didn't put on a great match. No, it's those last 9 minutes.
Yeah.
Honestly, you take those last 9 minutes and you pin Omega after the stabbing and the driver, you told a beautiful story.
Right.
And you can set up for either G1 or Wrestle Kingdom at the end next year.
From what I understand, I think it's going to be at Wembley. I'm not 100%. That hasn't been 100% confirmed.
Even if it is, you still can set it up after with all the stuff that happened. I feel like all that extra stuff, the kicking out at 1 and all the extra Don Callis stuff, I think you took away from the match and you took away from the show.
You got the inmates running the asylum over at AEW.
Oh, we did talk about a match that was earlier that night.
We didn't?
Nope.
I
I'm
thought
going
we
to call
hit.
it right now. Nope.
Okay, go for it.
CM Punk versus
Oh.
Satoshi Kojima in
I'm
the
sorry.
in the males bracket of the Owen Hart tournament, and it was a passable match.
Yeah.
That's Punk being Punk, fed into the crowd. I thought he looked good. I didn't think he looked amazing, but he looked good enough to
Right.
hold his own. Kojima is Kojima, legend in his own name.
Yep.
They had a pretty passable match. Pretty straightforward. Punk wins, advancing in the tournament.
We had Sting, Darby Allin, and Naito against Jericho, Guevara, Minoru Suzuki. Sting, Darby, and Naito won. I just got to say that I love when Minoru Suzuki smiles. It's the most evil smile in the world.
I love when he smiles and then proceeds to punch you in the face.
Yes.
This is great. Oh, actually, before we continue talking about this match, we kind of have to go back 2 matches because I want to talk about about an MVP of that 10-man tag between the Bucks and Hangman versus Moxley and the BCC. Takeshita.
Yes.
Takeshita.
Yes. Yep.
Takeshita. And I know I'm going to start talking about it, and you're going to go, I know exactly what you mean. The one forearm that's been on repeat throughout Twitter, throughout like Instagram. I've seen it numerous times with different like effects. The man knocks out Ishii with one straight shot that looked like he killed a man.
Yeah.
That young man, Takeshita, by next year will be a world champion, if not in AEW, he might even be Ring of Honor world champion.
I think that you're correct on that. I think that he has got a humongous future with this company.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. And I will say he was the MVP of that 10-man.
Okay. I'm going to go with that.
Now,
so the main event.
Yeah.
We had Bryan Danielson defeating Okada by submission. I literally did not know this match end. I turned my head to say something to my wife. I turned back. I was watching on my laptop, and the match was over. I said, really? I said, really? What the fuck just happened? Pardon my language again.
Hey.
Danielson coming out to the final countdown. I popped. I'm not going to lie. I popped.
Care.
Huge. I said, this is amazing.
Let anyone make fun of me, but again, we've talked about it ad nauseum. Being Ring of Honor guys that we are, having him come out to that music and the significance of that music was amazing. It was Punk. It was part 2 to Punk coming out to Miseria Cantere by AFI. If you know the Punk lore, you know what that music meant to Punk in his early stages of his career. I believe that made him the complete package in Ring of Honor for a very long time. That music was significant to his run. And same with Daniel Bryan, with Bryan Danielson, whatever you want to call him.
Whoa, who's Daniel Bryan? Who's that?
Yeah, some guy that wrestled up north. But him coming out to that music was goosebumps. I'm a big Bryan Danielson fan.
Same here.
My brother, that's my brother's favorite independent professional wrestler. So I've got to see a lot of his stuff. His Ring of Honor World Championship run in 06, 07 was stuff of legend. 05 to 06. Stuff of legends. Same like Samoa Joe, CM Punk, stuff like that. And having that music for such a huge match like this one just made it that much more special. Now, as you were going through the rundown, I didn't want to cut you off, but you were like Bryan Danielson or Okada versus Bryan Danielson, and I want to say he won with a broken freaking arm.
He definitely did.
Man, clean forearm cut, broken, and still proceeded to wrestle 10 more minutes and tap out Kazuchika Okada. I don't care what anyone says. That is the best wrestler in the world.
For decades, for like 2 decades, the best wrestler in the
Amazing.
world. Yeah.
Amazing.
And I love Okada. I thought this was a really good match. All right. This is going to be one of the highlights that brought this up to a 5. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
this match here. But I'm going to tell you something. It was very, very good. I don't want anybody to think that I'm like hating this match. I'll watch it again. This one, I mean, it wasn't like there was something missing from it for some reason. I don't know what it
So,
was. There
it
was
was
something
because
that
of the broken
lagged
arm.
a little. Maybe, but I didn't think that it was still a very good match. And I thought like I wasn't.
And I want
There
you
was
to
something that left me with a little bit of disappointment because I thought going into this match that this was going to be like a Osprey Omega as far as the intensity goes. Catch my drift?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can completely understand like why you would feel that way. These are two of the most intense, amazing professional wrestlers in our industry. It's almost like you have like it's champions from two different how do I explain it? Not companies, because obviously companies, but it's more like two different like styles. It's like you're
Right.
taking the two like different styles from two different countries and you're putting them in a mega like a super match, like a super fight.
Yeah. It's exactly what this was. Yeah.
And I think the broken arm hindered the match, not significantly to the point where it wasn't, like you said, a great match. But I feel like a lot of things that they may have wanted to do kind of went to the wayside because of the broken arm.
Right.
Now, there is a spot in this match that I kind of feel like took me out a little bit, and it was the convoluting spot.
Okay.
Referee Doc is checking on Daniel Bryan. Excuse me, what I get his name mixed up because they're both it's the same thing just backwards. So I apologize, but like they're checking on Danielson's arm, or excuse me, checking on him, and he's like faking, convulsing. We all know his history. We
Yep.
all know his history, so that's scary especially for a fan who knows what's going on. It's extremely scary. We all sit here and we're like, oh my god, I hope this is not what we're thinking it is. Worst case scenario, right? And then Okada just comes along and just was like, oh, he's fine.
Kicks the crap out of him. Yeah.
No. He before that, I kind of gotta set this up here. Excuse me, let me fix my camera here. So he walks up to the guys, right? They're checking on him, and he goes, I think he's okay. You guys like shoo along, shoo, escorts the referee and the doctor out of the ring, and then proceeds to kick his ass some more. I thought that was like hilarious. It took away from the match, but the fact that he just like so politely goes, "Hey man, I think he's okay. Can you guys leave the ring now? I'm gonna kick this guy's ass," and then proceeds to kick his ass some more. I thought was like the funniest thing to me.
It definitely was. Yeah.
I've noticed this with the Okada matches as of late. If you look at his facials, right? In the beginning, like 10, 15 minutes of a match, he looks like he's just like, oh, okay, I'm going to throw a drop kick here. Oh, that went pretty okay. He's no expression. Just, I might try this now. All right, Amalok, got him. And it's just the same, I'm going to try this face. And then once he hits that second level, you start seeing the expressions. You start seeing like how intense he gets. And that's when like you're on your way to like some magical stuff. But pay attention the next time you watch an Okada match, and I think to yourself you'll chuckle when you notice exactly what I'm telling you.
Right. Yeah. That was AEW New Japan Forbidden Door.
Yeah,
I thought that it was a pretty good show. Wasn't the greatest show.
It was.
But I had my, like I said, I rated a 5. You rated a 7.5, and
so my rating is compared to what like Double or Nothing was. If you like, did you watch Double or Nothing at all?
Did I? Not this. No, not now.
No. Okay.
Not this.
So if you watch Double or Nothing and then rewatch Forbidden Door, and I think the number rating that you gave it will change significantly.
Right.
Because I'm comparing it to Double or Nothing, and Double or Nothing was dog shit.
That was the last pay-per-view, correct?
Yes.
Now I'm trying to remember if I actually watched it, because I've been frustrated with some AEW a lot as of late. Yeah,
AEW has been very frustrating.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of dog water stuff. Like even the Sting Darby, match, whatever. Like that was just a cluster. That was a cluster, whatever of a match. Did nothing for no one, and for what? I don't even know why we had that match, because coming, Wednesday, it's gonna be Guevara and Jericho versus Sting and Darby again. So
Right.
It's like, what was the point of the pay-per-view?
Right.
So it's very hit and miss, but there was a lot more good wrestling than there was bad stuff.
Yeah, I think the wrestling itself, for the most part, was pretty decent. It's just there was something, I don't know, that was pulling me out of it and pulling me away, that wasn't necessarily like, hey, this is just a really good show, because it was a good show. It's just there's just something that wasn't there for me. I don't know. I can't quite put my finger on it. And that's the world of professional wrestling. There's going to be times like that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it, man.
Yeah, that's pretty much that is all we have this week. I do have an interview that I recorded with Sunset Steve Garcia. Going to be talking about his match. Last week we had Fly Night Noriega on talking about his match with Steve. This week is Steve talking about Fly Night. So we're going to play that interview when we come back. So Harry, I want to say thank you again. Of course, each and every week you can catch us here on WON Sports YouTube. There's other avenues coming, so keep an eye out on our social media. Don't forget to check out Coliseum Pro Wrestling August 4th. BST Blood, Sweat, and Tears was at July 16th.
July 1st and July 16th.
Correct, yes. And then go to all the social medias. Look it up. Facebook, Twitter. What's the other one? Instagram. YouTube. And click, like, share, follow, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, all that fun stuff.
Send it to your friends.
Yes, please. And come out to one of the shows, man. You're going to have a good time no matter which way you go. In which direction in the fort that you choose, you're going to have a good time at some good professional wrestling.
Absolutely. I want to say thank you for everybody tuning in. And don't forget to watch each and every week here on WON Sports. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Later.
Hi, this is Bob Smith. You might remember me from my years at Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine. Well, now I've started a brand new podcast called The Outdated Wrestling Hour. Yes, we're going to take a whimsical look back at the wrestling figures, stars, and trends from years gone by. We're talking 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and a whole lot more. There's going to be laughs. There's going to be fun. There's going to be action. You name it. Please tune in for The Outdated Wrestling Hour wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in here. Pro Wrestle Zone on WON Sports. I've got Sunset Steven Garcia. Steven, Of course, last week we had your brother, Fly 9 Noriega, on the show, and he gave his opinion regarding the match at Course of Honor. Now today, Stephen, I want to get your opinion on what has happened between the two of you during that show.
To be honest, Rick, sometimes there's not even really much words to say about that situation. My opinion was I didn't like it. You know, I didn't like the fact that this is what he had to come down to. You know, my opinion is that if it was up to me and if I had the choice, I wouldn't have done this because it's not what brothers do. So like I said, like our pop said, man, before, we're better off taking the world together, man. It's like, why? So yeah, my opinion is I didn't like it one bit. It's just wasn't. It still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, even watching small clips of it. You know, I feel like I should have spoken to Coliseum on top of that for even still, in a way, kind of like, I felt like they were showing it proudly, you know, and I'm like, you guys really proud of a guy burying his own brother? You know, but it's all good at the end of the day, So,
of course, he came in with Edric Cash. He was ready with a bunch of weapons. There was stuff hidden under the ring, such as a door. Each of you went through a door. There's pizza pans involved. He walked in with a shovel. I mean, you guys put on a war. I mean, I was on the commentary booth, and as I kept referring to it, and you watch it on the stream later, that I just kept referring to it as a war, and that's what it was. It was a full-on war. And, of course, your wife came in, and he had you handcuffed, face down on the ground, just smashing, had you in a chokehold, excuse me, and your wife felt that it was appropriate that you just couldn't take no more. And I'm sure a lot of the people in the crowd as well thought that you probably couldn't take any more. She threw in the towel.
Don't get me wrong. Part of me was a little upset with her because of that, because I did tell her, and I did tell her, let her know before that whatever happens, you let me go out like a man. You know, you let me go out like I'm supposed to go out. Don't get involved. Don't get in the. But then again, I'm also grateful that she did, because it showed me how much she cares about me. You know, it showed me how much she still wanted to see me wrestle another match one day in my lifetime. But after that, I'm pretty sure she doesn't really want me to wrestle again. But yeah, I was a little upset, but happy with her at the same time, you know. So that was another big part of me that still doesn't sit well. He was willing to do that in front of his own niece too. Like, my daughter was right there. You know what I mean? My son was right there. His niece, those are his legit nieces and nephews. And, you know, like, my wife had to lie to them saying, oh, they're just playing. They're just playing. They're just having fun. Like, no, we're not playing. You know, my kids are kids. They're not understanding this. My daughter's a little older, so she knew that her uncle right now is doing something like this. And I'm, in a way, she's smart enough that she didn't go around. Like, my daughter knew what was happening. So deep down, she just stood quiet. She didn't know how to respond to it. She didn't know whether to call him uncle or be nice to him or go up and give him a hug. She just didn't know. And then after him doing that on top of it, she's never gonna at all.
He seemed a little, actually, both of them seemed, him and Edric seemed a little bit proud of the way that they took you out and the violence that they ensued on Sunset.
To be honest, that's all fake to me. That wasn't real emotions, because I grew up with this guy. You know what I mean? I've ate off the same plate from him. I've slept on the same bed in the same room. You know what I mean? Like, we're brothers. Like, times we went to our pop's place and stuff like that. I know this guy like the back of my hand, and deep down in his heart, he just had to do what he had to do. He didn't want to do it either, you know, but he just had to do what he had to do, because so many years, I'm not going to lie, I had to go, but that's something I had no choice. I had no choice. So I know deep down in his heart, it's not what he wanted to do, but he had to prove his point. And by God, he sure did. I'm going to be a man of my word. I'm going to be a man of what happened. He proved his damn point, you know, and I just hope now he realizes what he did and learn from his mistakes, and hopefully doesn't do that to his so-called new brother, EJ. Okay, because mind you, if he did it to one brother, what makes you think he's not going to do it to the next brother?
You've got a point there. You've got a point. You do have a point there. So what did you sustain any, injuries, like hardcore injuries through that matchup? I know you went through a table. Like I said, you were choked out and handcuffed, and it looked as if, during that match, after that match, you had a lot of trouble walking through. And I saw you after the show, and you looked like you were still in a lot of pain. Looked like you might have been having a little trouble breathing still.
Yeah, I did actually. From those chair shots to the back, he actually punctured one of my kidneys. There was a lot of blood internally inside it where I was, it's going to sound gross, where I was urinating a lot of blood because of that. I ended up getting a concussion as well. I was concussed. And honestly, it's weird because I almost passed out. Like I legitimately, he almost legitimately killed me. Like when I felt that chokehold, my eyes was rolling back, and that's when I knew I was concussed from those shots to the head. I ended up getting a mild concussion from that. The main problem that I ended up injuring was my kidneys. He hit it so hard with those chair shots that right now I had to go through a CT CAT scan. I went through a CAT scan. They don't know what it is right now, but they know that my kidney was bleeding internally. So now I have to go to, actually tomorrow I have another doctor's appointment for my kidneys, and we'll see where we go from there. So I hope he's proud that he'll probably might end my career. I hope he's proud of that. But I'm a fighter. I'm gonna still keep fighting. So this ain't the last of Sunset, Steve. I will come back to Coliseum Pro Wrestling. I will be back. I will walk through those curtains. Doctors told me to stay out of Clash in the Coliseum, so I won't be able to perform for CPW come Clash, which it hurts me. Don't get me wrong. If I get caught in Connecticut wrestling right now, due to doctor's orders, I can get in a lot of trouble. So,
now that's August 4th, West Haven, Connecticut.
Yeah.
Keep an eyes on the Coliseum. Social media for updates. Obviously, we're all going to be sharing it. Everybody that's involved with Coliseum. Sunset, I also wanted to ask you. Let's see, where was it? Now the fans were really into this matchup. They thought that this was very intense. At one point, there was a "This is awesome" chant because they were really enjoying the violent battle between you and your brother, and there was a CPW chant as well, which people have really grown to love Coliseum Pro Wrestling, which I think is each show the room gets more and more packed. It's tighter in there, I guess you could say, to move around.
Yeah, people were pulling out chairs, man. Extra chairs, people were standing. It was a great moment. Honestly, don't get me wrong. Besides the heated rivalry and the heated feud and the hatred that my brother has towards me, because at the end of the day, I still love my little brother. But yeah, besides the hatred and all the fueled up frustration that we had between each other, it was a great moment seeing that crowd, seeing those people out there. And it's also a little harsh because these people were willing to come and see brothers tear each other up. That's pretty sick a little bit, but hey, pro wrestling fans are unbelievable, and
they're a special breed wrestling fans.
And I love each and every one of them to do that, all their chants, everything that they do. You are never going to be in any crowd more hotter than a wrestling crowd.
Yes.
No matter what. No baseball event, basketball event, football event. I don't care how many guys paint their chest and butt cheeks and at sports events. You are never going to find a more heated rivalry, a heated crowd than you will in a pro wrestling zone. No pun intended.
Yeah. So, Steve, you guys have battled over a year. Is this the last time you two are going to meet, at least for a while?
At least for a while. I can't keep continuing fighting with my own flesh and blood. If he doesn't want to speak to me or whatever, he doesn't want to know part of me, that's fine. He can go do his thing, be on his own. He can claim that he's his brother. Whatever he wants to do. At the end of the day, my doors are always open for my little bro. Even though he did what he did, I think this is the last time. I personally can't continue hurting my little brother anymore. I hope he feels the same way. But after what we saw at Course of Honor, he's on another level right now. Then ain't nobody's gonna take him off of this brain that he got going on right now. He's too hot. So
yeah,
let him learn the hard way. He's gonna have to learn in his own path. He's either gonna go all the way up, or he's gonna go all the way down. You know, and to be honest, I'm rooting for him. I want to see him at the very freaking top. That's the last time, man. At least with me, man. Go work your way to the top, like you said. You got me out the way. Let's see you get there.
I want to know, tell me what's in store for Sunset Steve in the future. When do you plan on being back? Obviously, you said not the next show, but down the road. When do you plan on being back, and what is in store for Sunset after this? How is it? First off, let me ask you this: how's your family currently, and then we can answer that first question.
Well, right now my family are just more happy and glad that I'm able to still sit here in my kitchen and talk to you.
Yeah.
Podcast. My daughter's a fighter. My daughter wants me to get back in there and kick some more butt, to be honest with you. My daughter was like, Daddy, I need you to get back in there and kick some more butt. Like, that's not good. You can't go out that way. You know?
Yeah.
I had to tell her, though, some things, you know, you're better off having me here, young lady. Okay?
Yep.
So, yeah, my wife's excited. She still gets to watch movies with me if she wants. You know, she still gets to go out to dinner. They're glad that it's over, and they're glad that it's in the past. There's always this phrase that I like to say: you put the past in the casket, and it's buried now, like he said.
Yeah,
it's over. 6 feet under.
So what's as I said before, what is in store for Sunset Steve going forward? After obviously you said you're not going to be at Clash at the Coliseum, which is August 4th, by the way. I'm going to keep saying that over and over until you guys show up.
Oh no! I'll be there.
Yeah,
but I just won't be able to step foot in the ring and please all my crowd and fans that love to see someone in the field in the same style of me. But what I'm really gunning for is to come back, and when I come back, I'm going to come back strong. I'm coming back for some gold. I'm coming back to claim what is actually truly something that I've worked my butt off for, something that I busted my butt and my tail I feel more than anything I've ever done in my life. And that's become a heavyweight champion. You know, I'm going to become a heavyweight champion. It's going to happen. And when I'm 100% and I'm back to where I need to be, Sunset Steve's going to win some gold. I'm going to start my own belt collection. And it's time for me to step up my game. That's what's in stores. I'm looking for bigger things. I'm trying to get into bigger fields and win as many titles as many places as I can and shock the world, put on the best matches as I possibly can. That CPW chant fueled some fire under me that right now I got to put the past in the casket and I got to move on for greater things.
Thank you, Steven. Best of luck to you. I want to thank you for coming over here on the Pro Wrestle Zone on WON Sports, and best of luck to you in your future.
Definitely, man. Thank you for having me again, Rick. You know, we love Pro Wrestling Zone. I got to let everybody know that this is the spot. If y'all want to interview, y'all want a podcast, y'all want to come in, y'all want to talk about anything, sports, NWA, wrestling, whatever it is that you want to do, Rick Dos Santos is the guy. So just make sure you follow Rick, follow Coliseum Pro Wrestling, follow Sunset Steve on Instagram, Steven Garcia on Facebook, and Garcia Sunset Steve on Twitter. So see y'all all, and don't forget to follow Pro Wrestling Zone.